On the 250th anniversary of his birth, RCSI is proud to commemorate the life and legacy of Abraham Colles, Ireland's most distinguished anatomist and a leading figure in the golden age of Irish medicine. Born in Kilkenny in 1773, Colles enrolled in RCSI at the age of just 17. Here he attended lectures and dissections while gaining hands-on clinical experience as an apprentice at Dr. Stephen's Hospital. After graduating from RCSI in 1795, Colles travelled to Edinburgh to earn his doctorate. He came back to Dublin 3 years later, and after a shaky start, his career took off when he returned once again to Dr. Stephen's Hospital, this time as resident surgeon rather than apprentice. Colles was soon elected a member of RCSI, rocketing through the ranks in the years that followed. In January 1802, he was elected president. He was just 29 years old. In 1804, Colles was appointed simultaneously to the two most eminent academic positions in the college, the chair of surgery and that of anatomy and physiology. Thanks to his brilliance, RCSI saw its student numbers quadruple in the space of a decade. This brilliance is evident in a slim volume Colles published in 1811 called A Treatise on Surgical Anatomy. In his treatise, Colles argued that the accepted, centuries-old method of teaching anatomy was fundamentally flawed.
Here we are in the anatomy room of RCSI. This is where Colles taught students as Professor of Anatomy in his time, and where anatomy teaching continues in RCSI to this day. Before Colles, the teaching and study of anatomy followed a systemic model pioneered by the 16th century anatomist Andreas Vesalius. That's to say, anatomy was taught one system at a time, dissecting and displaying the body to study nerves one week, arteries the next. But as a surgeon, Colles found this method lacking when it came to the realities of clinical practice. He compared it to taking apart a watch and describing each cog and spring in meticulous detail, but without ever saying a word about how they work together to tell the time.
Colles advocated instead a regional or topographical approach, that is, the study of how the various systems function relative to one another in any given part of the body. This had an immense influence in the medical world, and Colles's model of regional anatomy remains the preferred approach in medical school curricula the world over. Colles's name also lives on thanks to his eponymous fracture.
In 1814, Colles published an article entitled On the Fracture of the Carpal Extremity of the Radius. Caused by a fall and an outstretched hand, the Colles fracture is one of the most prevalent fractures presenting daily at accident and emergency departments everywhere. Nowadays, diagnosis is by X-ray. In the 19th century, it depended on external observation of the characteristic dinner fork deformity identified by Colles.
Beset by ill health, Colles retired from his positions at RCSI in the 1830s. However, his dedication to education lived on after him in another curious way. In the last great act of his medical career, he requested that a post-mortem examination be carried out on his body and the results published for the benefit of the medical community. Once a teacher, always a teacher. Colles died in December 1843. A funeral procession, led by the president of RCSI, followed his coffin on foot from Stephen's Green to his final resting place in Mount Jerome Cemetery. By the end of Colles's life, this modest man had forever transformed his subject, cementing RCSI and the City of Dublin's reputation as an international centre for medical education. On the 250th anniversary of his birth, RCSI continues to honour Colles's legacy as an innovative, world-leading health sciences university, driving enhancement in global human health through educational innovation, research endeavour and societal impact.